Hey, what's up there, freaks and geeks? Welcome back to the Uplate Show, the podcast that you know. This is episode number 9, I believe. Last week was a pretty decent episode. I can't even remember what we talked about. I'm sorry, guys. I usually have like a pretty bad memory, if you can't tell by now. If you've been here this whole couple 8 episodes and you know that I don't remember much. That's right. It was Oppenheimer. I discussed my thoughts on Oppenheimer, Leave the World Behind, and the Guardians of the Galaxy 3. That's right. That's what the last episode was. So if you want to go check that out and hear my thoughts on those 3 films, make sure you go check out episode 8, I believe it is. This is episode 9. Today, instead of topics, I just got one big topic that I can go on for about the duration of this podcast. So that's what we're going to do. It's just one topic, and that is, what are my personal top 5 horror sequels? And this is in the slasher genre, so I won't be featuring movies like Doctor Sleep, Evil Dead, because I don't really consider Evil Dead a slasher, even though it is, I guess. It's just, in my eyes, a slasher is, you got not a main character, but you got your main killer, and the movie is just about them killing. And Evil Dead is more along the lines of Ash trying to survive from evil. So I don't consider that a slasher all that much. So yeah, this is just slashers. So like Jason, Freddy, Michael, stuff like that. We're going to start with our honorable mentions though, because these, let's see, I wrote down 1, 2, these 3 films are films that, if depending on the day and the time, you never know, these might end up on the top 5 list, but they didn't, and I wanted to mention them anyway. So my first honorable mention is Psycho 2, which came out in like 1983, I believe. This is like 20-something years after the events of the first film, Alfred Hitchcock's classic. It's still Anthony Perkins. The director, I believe, is like, I want to say Tom Holland or something. Not Spider-Man. A whole different Tom Holland. Anyway, I love Psycho 2. I actually just got the whole Psycho collection for Christmas on Blu-ray. I just watched the 4th one yesterday for the first time. I don't really know how I feel about that. I love all first 3 Psycho movies, and then the 4th one comes, and you're kind of like, whoa, this is a step back. Maybe I'll do a review on that, actually. But the second honorable mention is Nightmare on Elm Street, number 3, The Dream Warriors. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, how could this not be in your top 5? And I'll explain to you why soon, because there's another Nightmare movie out there that, believe it or not, I like more than 3. That is not the original, and it's not the remake either, so don't worry. Nightmare 3, I feel like it's, besides my favorite Nightmare movie, which is on the top 5, I feel like Nightmare 3 is probably the best in terms of what it feels like to go back to the original movie. Because in the second one, it feels like we jumped away from a lot of important plot points, and they just seemed kind of confusing. But you know, we'll get to that in a minute. But Nightmare 3, The Dream Warriors, is definitely an honorable mention. Most people would say it's the best Nightmare sequel, maybe even the best Nightmare movie, which I really can't disagree in either fashion. I love that movie a lot, and Wes Craven had a lot to do with that movie too. I think he may have even directed it. I'm not sure. You have to correct me if I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong, but I know Wes came back and he wanted his touch on Nightmare 3, and that's what makes it so great, in my opinion, plus the characters, the return of Nancy, Heather Langenkamp, just all that stuff, you know. Nightmare 3 is definitely an honorable mention. So for the last honorable mention, it'll be Child's Play 2. Now, sorry, I don't know when this came out, but I know it was sometime in the 80s, the early 80s. I believe the first one came out like 1980. It was something like that. I'm not sure. We're not here to fact check, though. We're just here to talk about movies. So, yeah, Child's Play 2. First thing I want to get down on is the soundtrack, like the score. Totally just revamped Chucky's vibe for me. Like, the score really gave Chucky a personality. Not that he didn't have one at all already, he definitely had one in the first movie. But that's another thing about Child's Play 2 is that Chucky gets a lot more personality in this movie, a lot more one-liners and comedic things. And, as a lot of in horror movies that can only go so far until it just becomes a joke, like Freddy or, even Chucky in his later movies. But I feel like this is where Chucky really started that sort of trope and made it what it is almost. And the same thing with Nightmare 3. Nightmare 3 and Child's Play 2, okay? This is where Freddy and Chucky both first got their like, I don't know what you want to call it, their comedic tone, really, and the more one-liners. But these movies are the ones where they worked and it wasn't overused to the point where you're not even afraid of the slasher, So, yeah, Child's Play 2, definitely a great movie. I love how it follows up with Andy Barclay still, and, like, the same kid actor, and, it's just it's a fun movie. It's a great movie. I love Child's Play 2. I might even go watch it later. But yeah, those are my top 3 honorable mentions. So now let's get down to the real list. My number 5, believe it or not, is going to be Halloween Kills. And I'm sorry, guys, but this is the only Halloween movie on my list. Do I love Halloween? Of course. Do I love Michael Myers? Of course I do. But there's some things out there that I just can't get with. Like, a lot of the diehard Halloween fans really, really love like Halloween 4 and 5 and H2O. I just don't. I think those movies are terrible. They're boring. The masks suck. I don't see what's good about those movies in any way. Number 4 I do like, actually. I will say I like number 4, the intro. The mask could be worse. Just look at 5 and fucking Resurrection. Other than that, though, 4 is not bad. People love Halloween 2 and 3. I don't love those movies. I've watched them, and there's nothing about them that just grabs me like some other movies do. And that's okay, that's just my opinion. Like I said, do I love Michael Myers and the Halloween franchise? Of course I do. But when it comes to Halloween Kills, this is what I want with a slasher like Michael or Jason. I don't care about, like, people always say, like, we need story, we need characters fleshed out, blah, blah, blah. It's a goddamn horror movie, in my opinion. I don't need none of that shit. If I want to go watch some character development, I'll go watch Goodfellas or Oppenheimer or some kind of drama like that, something like that. But when I watch a horror movie, I don't care. I don't care about Laurie Strode's trauma. Sorry, I just don't. I don't care about Allison's boyfriend. I just don't. And I get it. We have to have these things in the movie to make them good, but I just don't care. I really don't. And that's why I love Halloween Kills so much, is because it's a superhero movie about a serial killer. It's a action slasher is what I would call it. And Michael Myers in this movie has some of the best kills, some of the best scares, and just some of the best Michael Myers, personally, in my opinion. And, a lot of people are going to heavily disagree with that, and that's fine. I totally get where you're coming from, Like, I will say Halloween 2 and 3 and 4 are probably all better than Halloween Kills. But for my top 5, Halloween Kills is at the bottom of the list just because of how much action in the slashing is going on. And that's what I was looking for in a title like Halloween Kills. So that's my number 5. Go ahead and disagree if you want. I don't care. Number 4, Jason Takes Manhattan. Now I'm going to get even more hate for this one because this is everyone's most least favorite Jason movie besides maybe Jason Goes to Hell or Jason X. This is part 8, by the way, in the Friday series. I don't know what all the hate about Jason Takes Manhattan really is. Like, I love that movie, and maybe it's because it was one of the more first ones that I've seen when I was a child. So maybe I just have more of a connection with it than most people. But even watching it as an adult, I still love it. And, people are always, oh, it's not Jason Takes Manhattan, it's Jason Takes a Boat, and then he's in Manhattan for the last 20 minutes. Who cares, dude? Who cares? At least he's not in Crystal Lake the whole movie, like the last 7. You know, at least they went somewhere different. At least they tried something different. The Jason in this movie, do I love him all that much? No. I'm a big Kane Hodder fan, but in this Jason movie, I just don't see what was so special about Jason. But I couldn't understand what it was about this movie that just has it made its way on my top 4 favorite horror sequels. So there's something about it that's good enough for me to put it on that list, and I just can't tell you what it is. I don't know. I think the goofy, stupid characters, because they are goofy and stupid, and like, it's, you know, the bad acting, but it's just all these things. It's like watching The Room, you know it's so bad, but when you actually sit there and watch it, you're like, I love this goddamn movie. I don't know why, but I do. So that's my number 4. My number 3, we'll get back to the Nightmare on Elm Street topic, because my number 3 is Nightmare on Elm Street 2. And I wouldn't say a lot of people hate this movie. A lot of people don't really even know it exists. It seems like it's always like the black sheep of the family. Somehow when you have Nightmare 4 and 5, you know, somehow this one stoops lower in a lot of YouTubers and critics, which I don't understand, but that's their opinion. That's cool, whatever. I just feel like this movie was a lot more Freddy. It was actually pretty scary at some points. As I was talking earlier, there's a lot of plot points that are missing, or, you know, there's holes in the story. Like when Freddy's at the pool party and he's blowing shit up and, like, you know, yelling at everyone, whatever. It's just like, is everyone asleep at that point in time? Is that what's going on? Or even like Ron, when Jesse falls asleep in Ron's room and he wakes up to Freddy coming out of Jesse's body, and that doesn't kill Jesse. So, like, wouldn't that have to be some sort of dream sequence? Or how would Ron be seeing Freddy if he's not dreaming? And maybe we could say it's because Freddy finally came out of Jesse's body into the real world, and that's why we get the pool scene. I don't know. Maybe that makes sense right there. That could be it. But and a lot of times it just doesn't make sense. But the movie itself, I love it because, like I said, it's scary. Freddy's not a big clown in this movie. He's actually still pretty, like, sinister and dark. And, you know, he still has his comedic times and his one-liners and whatnot. But as of Nightmare 2, I think Nightmare 2 is definitely one of the best out of the whole franchise, for sure. And that's just what I think, you know. That's my opinion. I love Nightmare 2. You know, I like how they changed it up and went with a final boy instead of a final girl. There's a lot of homosexual undertones in this movie that you could definitely spot, especially as you get older, you know, and especially with this world we live in, where things like that are more accepted now, which is great. But you could definitely see it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just find it entertaining. It's funny. You know, Jesse's goofy, whatever. Yeah. Great movie. Great sequel. What are we on? Number 2. My number 2 most favorite slasher sequel out there is definitely a newer one, The Terrifier 2. If you guys haven't seen All Hallows Eve or The Terrifier especially, I urge you to go watch it now, especially if you're a horror fan. I'm telling you right now, Terrifier 1 and All Hallows Eve, I'm pretty sure you can find them on Amazon Prime, Tubi, Pluto TV. These are all free. Well, Prime's not, obviously, but if you go on Tubi and look for Terrifier, I'm sure you'll be able to find it. You just got to deal with a couple ads, but I mean, what streaming service do you not have to deal with ads anymore, right? Yeah, go check out Terrifier 2. It's pretty brutal, and it's at some moments even disgusting. There's actually reports and even pictures posted online of people who had to leave this movie early because it made them nauseous, it made them sick, it just gave them the heebie-jeebies to the point where they had to go throw up in the hall outside. if a movie can do that, then I think it has accomplished something. And this movie has actually accomplished a lot in the last year since it came out. I don't believe the first movie even had a theatrical release. This one did, not worldwide. I live in a small town, so I wasn't able to catch the big screen showing in my hometown, which is understandable. But, in bigger places like Los Angeles or, just bigger cities, wherever, especially where movies are popular, yes, this movie was in the theaters, and it did something that I haven't seen a movie do I don't even know if I've seen it do in my lifetime. But yeah, I love Terrifier 2, and it's like a 2-hour movie. And for a slasher to be able to push that long of a movie, like I said, I think it did something that it wasn't. Maybe Damien Leone, the director, maybe he wasn't expecting to push it that far, but he did, and by God, it worked. It worked like a damn charm. One of the best horror slasher movies ever out there. Go check it out. And finally, for my number one, this is gonna get hate too. I don't even know if I want to release this video because I know how toxic you horror fans can be out there. It's like doing Star Wars, And a lot of this list already, I feel like I've apologized unnecessarily like 4 times now. But like I said, this is my list. If you guys don't like it, that's fine. You could go watch someone else's top 5 horror sequels, whatever. This is just my opinion, and like I said, maybe one day it'll change. Maybe one day we'll do a part 2 or something. I don't know. Anyway, for my number one, Rob Zombie's greatest film, in my opinion, The Devil's Rejects. Why is this my number one? Well, the main reason is because this is the second movie in his Firefly family. A tongue twister there. Firefly family trilogy. Jesus Christ. Of horror, slashers, killers. Rob Zombie's famous family of, I wasn't going to say 3, but there's a lot more of them that come and go. If you watch House of a Thousand Corpses, I got to say, I just don't like that movie. I don't. I remember when I seen The Devil's Rejects, I thought it was its own thing, and I didn't know that there was a movie that came before that. So when I went and watched House of a Thousand Corpses after Devil's Rejects, I was totally just... Like, I don't even know. I wasn't bored. It's not a boring movie. It's just a... I don't even want to say it's a bad movie either. It's not like a terrible movie. It's just retarded in some aspects. If you guys know Rob Zombie and you listen to his music and you go watch House of a Thousand Corpses, it almost seems like just a prolonged Rob Zombie music video. And there's all these little instances with this heavy metal music, and it's like... But it's the early 2000s, so it's all poppy and weird, and like I just hate it. I can't stand it. The House of a Thousand Corpses. It's just weird. Okay, it's all the same characters, actors, and it is the beginning to their story, as we know. Maybe not the beginning, but it's the start of what we see. But the jump that Rob Zombie went from House of a Thousand Corpses to Devil's Rejects is just stellar. It's a huge gap. And I'm glad that it went that way, because if we had Devil's Rejects come out in the vibe and the same mask as House of a Thousand Corpses, then it would not even be the same movie. And one thing I like about The Devil's Rejects is it's on the side of like, it's like a 70s grindhouse horror movie, and it almost takes me back to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. It takes me back to that vibe, and that's what I want in a horror movie. I want to be freaked out. I want to be grossed out. I want everything to seem grainy, and like, you just can't catch it as well as newer horror movies. I don't know how to say it, but what Rob Zombie did with The Devil's Rejects is just amazing, perfect. It's one of the best movies ever, I think. Is it dirty and vile and sometimes even unnecessary, like with the, I don't really want to say it, the sexual abuse kind of scenes? Of course, we don't need that shit in a movie. Even the scenes where this movie has that, I would gladly take it out and it would still be as good. So that's just the thing with Rob Zombie, though. I don't know what it is. He likes to put these weird rapey scenes in his movie, and sometimes it could add or take away from the movie, but in his case, I feel like it does nothing. It doesn't further the story. It doesn't, we don't need to see that. Nobody wants to see that, especially if you're a victim of a crime like that. You might like horror movies, but do you want to see that shit in a movie you're watching if it, happened to you one time? No, I wouldn't. So, other than that, the movie's just badass. It's pretty sick. It's brutal. It's bloody. But it also has this sort of, Western, gangster mentality to it almost. Not a gangster mentality, but... we got these killers who they're not just supernatural killers, they're on the run from the FBI and the cops and everything. So that brings in almost this GTA kind of vibe to it where we have these killers, but they're not out in the open because they know they could take it like Jason or Michael. They can't take everything. They can get shot. Apparently they can get shot 1,000 times and come back for a third movie too. So maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong there, but what I'm trying to say is it's cool to have these more realistic hillbilly backwoods characters that isn't a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, And, when I watch this movie and I think about Rob Zombie, I say to myself, he had to have got some inspiration from, the Leatherface movies to do this. I think maybe a couple other older grindhouse movies from the 70s, but yeah, The Devil's Rejects is my number one top favorite slasher movie because of those reasons. 3 from Hell was pretty good. I still love 3 from Hell way more than House of a Thousand Corpses. Like I said, I just don't like that movie. But The Devil's Rejects, out of all 3 of those movies, is definitely the high standard. It's definitely the one that comes out on top of all 3 for sure, if you ask me. Other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I don't know what else to say here. Please drop your comments down below. Let me know what you think, because I know these are some pretty strong opinions on a ranking list, and I even when I was writing it down, I was like, man, people are gonna get pissed at me for saying that, Jason Takes Manhattan is my number 4 top favorite slasher sequel, but that's just me, guys. I watch a lot of YouTubers, especially when it comes to horror, and I just don't want to be the same, I have my different opinions, and I'm not going to hide them. Yeah, I love the newer Halloween movies. Halloween Ends, Kills. I love them a lot more than the older ones. I do. I love Jason Takes Manhattan. I like Jason Takes Manhattan more than the original Friday the 13th. Yep. I said that. Go ahead. Curse me out in the comments. I'll give you a heart. I'll give you a like, dude. It's just my opinion. That's just how I feel. But yeah, we're going to wrap this show up. I think I did this in perfect timing. I usually like to keep these up late shows around anywhere in between 20 and 30 something minutes. And to get through a whole top 5 list of plus 3 honorable mentions in 23 minutes, I think I did pretty good. So I'm proud of that. I'll come back next week with another show, another Uplate podcast. I'm not sure what we'll talk about. Maybe we'll do something like this again, because this was pretty fun. I know I want to start doing some vlogging soon. I haven't been making very healthy choices. For those of you who don't know, I do love skateboarding and all that, and I like to, just film things when you're outside. So I'm going to try to do that more as the winter seems to not come. It hasn't been snowing in Wyoming, guys. Don't know why. Northern Wyoming, no snow. It's January something. Beginning of January, and it snowed twice. So that's pretty weird. But yeah, I'm going to start doing some more vlogging. I definitely want to get back on the trailer reaction soon. Don't forget, as always, to go check out Field When Faded. We just dropped a new episode last week, I believe. We got a new one coming out here soon with one of our buddies. that we had on like the 4th episode, so that'll be cool. And then I know I have a special guest appearing on this show very soon. We might even do like a Skype call and video it, so you guys will have a video version of this podcast. I might do a video version of this podcast soon too, you never know. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you like my list. I know you probably don't, but like I said, go ahead, chew me out in the comments. I'd like to see what people have to say, because it's just fun to get into these little, arguments, or whatever you want to call them, debates. I won't call them arguments. I don't like to argue with people, so we're not doing that. We could debate all day. But yeah, I hope you guys are having an awesome week and all that jazz. But yeah, I'm going to wrap this up. I'll see you guys next week on the Uplate Show. This is episode number 9. So yeah, stay weird out there and peace out, freaks and geeks.